Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
Oscar Piastri.
Piastri.
I always say his last name wrong. Red Bull. Welcome back to Drive Like a Girl,
the Formula One podcast for all things F1.
And we're back, episode 2. If you're watching on YouTube, we've got new mics.
Yes.
So that's so fun.
That's what we've been spending our evening trying to set up.
So hopefully it sounds okay. I mean, I
yeah.
think there's like we're just worried that
The buzz.
yeah.
I think it'll be fine.
it'll be fine.
We are taking this seriously, as you can see.
Yeah.
With our new kit.
Mhm.
Slowly and surely.
We're getting there. Next thing's the camera.
Yeah.
So I think this episode we want to take it back to basics for Formula One.
Back to the basics.
All about Formula One, guys. So if no one knows anything about Formula One and wants to learn the basics so you can watch this year's seasons and any upcoming seasons, and just when you watch it, you understand and you don't get confused. You know some technical words that are being said.
Yeah. And it's not just for, you might be watching this and being like, oh, I don't want to watch this episode or listen to this episode because I already know Formula One or I feel like I know enough of the basics. But you might find out something in this episode that you didn't know.
Exactly.
So keep watching because we might teach you a little something.
Yeah. Summon.
Something. A little sprinkle from Jess and Sammy. Just to give a tag for the rest of the episode, we're going to cover the back to basics, but we are going to tell you our thoughts about the races and we're going to touch on our fantasy. So
yeah, so
stay tuned for that.
We haven't seen each other for a week
Yeah, no, this is true, we haven't.
because we wanted to film it a lot sooner, but obviously life gets in the way. I've been home, you've been home.
How did you tune into the race this weekend?
So I watched it at home
Yeah.
with my mum, my stepdad and my best friend, and she didn't know anything about Formula One, so we went out before the race and I was telling her everything she needed to know. So when we watched it,
So you were rehearsing for the back to basics?
yeah, literally. And so when we watched it, she was like, oh my god, this is so good. Like, she really enjoyed it. Yeah, so we've got another girl into F1.
What's her name?
Lauren.
She's
watching. What did you do? Where did you watch it?
Well, I actually didn't watch it. I listened to it. So I was on the move. I was actually on a blimmin' National Express bus between Derby and Leeds, and I was going to Leeds, so I was on the bus and I had like the BBC Sports app and I was like listening to it in my ears and I was like this on the bus, and then I was getting like notification updates.
That's so sweet. How did you find listening to it?
It was weird because obviously like I can't see a lot of the situations going on, so
Surely you have to really concentrate.
yeah, I had to really listen to the commentators. I mean, we were talking about how like sometimes the commentators can be quite like confusing. And you've got that extra level of like you can't see to try and understand what's going on, so it was a bit confusing. I had to tap into my other senses of Formula One.
That's good though. Okay, well, let's get crack-a-lacking then. Get into
Where's
it.
my Red Bull?
Oh, yes, she's got the Red Bull. I'm not drinking Red Bull today.
You got an early one.
Got an early start tomorrow and it's already 7 p.m.
So, where are we starting in the back to basics?
We're just going to give you what is Formula One.
What is Formula One? So, Formula One is the pinnacle of motorsport. It is a single-seater Formula racing sport, and it started in 1950. So it's got a long legacy behind it.
And that wasn't the first car Ferrari?
Ferrari's one of the teams that has been in it like from the beginning.
Yeah.
McLaren's also has been in it for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And then we've also got newer teams like Haas.
Yes. Alpine. Kick Sauber, which
The
is going to be
newest.
something else in 2026
Yeah,
or 2025. I
Alpine.
don't know. But if you want to know, like, learn about Ferrari, and then in the 1950s, watch the Ferrari movie.
Have you seen the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing.
Yeah, I watched
It's
it with
not
my
like
mum.
the best film I've ever seen, but it was
So it's not
interesting.
actually about Formula One.
No, it's
but
about
it's
Enzo
really cool.
Ferrari.
Yeah. And then I googled his son, who's still alive and still
He's
like the
got
head
like
of Ferrari.
yeah, he's got like a percentage still in
I know.
Ferrari. Crazy stuff.
Crazy.
And so Formula One consists of a series of races. So last year they had 23 races, this year they have 24, and it's all around the world. So the last one was in Bahrain, and then the one on the weekend was in Saudi Arabia. The next one's in Australia, which is on at 4 a.m. for us Brits.
I know.
So I probably won't be watching it. I'll be watching the highlights. Not gonna lie.
No, sorry. We're obviously not diehards, but I will not be up at 4 in the morning.
No, unless you'd stay away.
Unless we do it together. We could
And
do it.
stay
We could make
awake.
it a thing.
Could, but my sleep is precious to me.
Yeah, me too.
That's one thing. But yeah, there are 20 drivers, 10 teams, and they're all competing to be the F1 Drivers' Championship.
As well as the Constructors' Championship. The drivers are going for the Drivers' Championship, which is their own. They want to be the winner. They want to be the best. But then the Constructors' Championship, it's a team sport, even though sometimes it may not seem like it. You've got 2 drivers, like Jess said, for each team, and that team's points are built up of all the points that each driver on their team has garnered throughout the year. And that's how we get the Constructors' Championship. And, you know, they want to win and they want to do well because they get more money.
Yeah, they do.
The better you're doing, the more investors you can get, and the investors give you money to spend on your car.
I'll start with the obvious. So when you win, you're in P1, P2, second, P3. So that's what it means when you hear P1. And then pole position is also when they win the qualifying and when they get to start the race first. So that's pole position. But every team, I mean, every driver's kind of in for themselves. I mean, they want to work as a team, and we have seen over the years, like Lewis Hamilton and his teammates, they want to beat Lewis Hamilton because he is the better driver, but they want to beat him.
We've seen it a lot with Max. Like Daniel Ricciardo was in Red Bull as Max's teammate. Didn't want to be under Matt. He left, went to Renault. People don't like being in someone else's shadow, and when you're known as like, you know, the number 1 driver and the number 2 driver, no one wants to be the number 2 driver. Yeah. They all want to be the championship winner.
But they are technically meant to work as a team, and obviously their team principals and everyone around them will create a strategy that works for them to make sure the team eventually do win. I mean, they want both of their drivers on the podium. They want them to both win. Yeah. That would be ideal. But obviously if it gets to a point where only one person is maybe only to get points, they have to kind of maybe let the other driver overtake them, their teammate overtake them, so they can get the points. And you know, it's drama.
In both recent weekends, we've seen like strategies play out for the benefit and also for the negative of teams. Like in Bahrain, we saw, and this is spoilers because we're going to talk about this, but in Bahrain, we saw Yuki Tsunoda be told to let Daniel Ricciardo take over him. Yeah. And Yuki was not happy about it, and he didn't do it straight away, which then meant that, well, you can argue this, but it meant that Daniel couldn't get to the position that he wanted to be if Yuki had let him go sooner. And that's when you see drivers' tensions and drivers be out for it from themselves. But then in Jeddah in Saudi Arabia this past weekend, we saw a team working together when Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hülkenberg for Haas had, like, Kevin got, what was it? 20 seconds penalty. So he was never going to win. He was never in the points. So the team strategy was like, Kevin, you need to hold everyone back. So he held the mid to the lower table of the grid back so that Nico Hülkenberg could get in the pit and keep his 10th position and stay in the points. So he actually helped out his teammate because he knew he was never going to win. So that's when, like, team strategy, like, they actually worked together. Yeah. So that was cool to see.
Yeah. But there are times, obviously, when a driver doesn't want to listen to their constructors, and they don't want to listen to their team, and they want to win for themselves to, you know, become a world champion or win that race to look better for themselves, which is fair enough. So there is a lot of drama.
Which is why we love it.
Be a bit of tension in teams, and can be hard for team principals as well. But did we touch on team principals at all? So obviously you have the two drivers and the main kind of team principal, which if you watch on the Netflix series, sorry to bring it up, everyone's going to hate me, but that's what you mainly see, isn't it? The team principal talking about everything, and then obviously their two drivers.
And our favourite team principal. We can't talk about him in every episode.
we can't. But yeah.
Just in case you didn't watch. But yeah, the team principals, huge part of creating the strategy and obviously like running the team.
And the engineers, like everyone I think maybe forgets that they, you know, it's all about the race car. A race car can create such a great strategy. They can make the points and make the money to improve the car throughout the season and make the car better and faster. But if the driver's if it's not working for them, then that does impact then the car and everything, and vice versa. If the driver's a really good driver but the car's just not fast enough, or it just isn't good for them, then it can affect them, and then they want to leave their team, as we have seen.
Lewis.
Yes.
He's constantly blaming it on the car, which I don't know if it can be an
Daniel
excuse
Ricciardo,
anymore.
another example. He's left 2 teams in the last 3 years, or something like that, just because he just said he wasn't getting on with the car. But is that just because he's not as good of a driver?
Let's break down the race weekend.
Okay, cool.
The race weekend happens over 3 days. Usually, these 3 days starts on a Friday, and the big race happens on the Sunday. The last 2 weeks, from when we're recording this, the races have started a day earlier because of Ramadan, and then the big race has been on Saturday. But on a kind of normal race weekend, everything starts on a Friday. So on the Friday, you have the 2 first practices. They're called free practices, and normally referred to as FP1 and FP2.
Yeah.
These give the drivers like an opportunity to test out the track, test out the car, see how it's doing. You often don't see them going, you know, to full capacity. They're not pushing the car all the way. They're not pushing themselves all the way. So, you know, you can't fully take the positions that they get or the times that they get as like Bible, because they're not giving it their all.
But it's good to see, especially when the season first starts, on kind of how they may have changed their cars from the previous year, and it may shock you.
These are all new cars. We haven't seen them.
They have the whole winter to fix it up and get new strategies and see what worked and see what didn't, and look at all the data and really try and get the best car. Fastest car with the fastest lap. Earlier I was like the slowest lap, and then I was like
wait,
what? And then you read it out and you went, the slowest lap, what do you mean by that? And I was like, yeah, I don't mean that. I mean the fastest lap. I
thought you were going for something there.
I had a insight knowledge or something. No.
But yeah, so that's the Friday. So you've got the 2 practices, FP1 and FP2. And then the Saturday, you've got the final one of the practices, which is FP3. And then you've got qualifying, which is really, really important, because the speed that the drivers set in qualifying sets the place that they get in the grid for the final race. So qualifying happens in 3 knockout stages. I should put like the echo on knockout. And these are known as Q1, Q2, Q3. They really like to like abbreviate.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
It's a lot of abbreviations. So Q1 starts off with all 20 of the drivers. They're just trying to set the fastest possible lap time in that time. And in Q1, the 5 slowest drivers get knocked out. They set, and then with that, they set the positions of P20 up to P15. Q2, same things happen. We have another knockout round where the next 5 slowest drivers get knocked out. That sets positions P15 to P11. Q3, I was about to go Q1. Q3 is when we're left with the top 10 fastest drivers, and they're trying to set the fastest lap for the top 10 positions in the grid. And whoever gets the fastest lap gets pole position. They're at the front. They're in the best possible place to win, and the best possible place to get points.
So yeah, obviously it's great to be P10 and above.
Yeah, because you're in the point scoring positions. And that leads us on nicely to talk about the points.
Yes, the points. So if you win in the race, well, no, we didn't actually say then it was the race after qualifying.
Oh, God, yeah.
How did we forget? So
Saturday.
it's the race.
Sunday.
Races are around a Sunday, normally.
Yes, normally. You get, race day. It can happen depending where it is, depending the climate, the weather. It might be in the evening, it might be in the morning. It changes. But yeah, race day happens on the Sunday. So you've got your position from qualifying, you're in the grid, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
The race lasts around 2 hours. And the number of laps they do depends on the length of the race. They kind of divide it by blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, it all depends on the track.
Yeah.
And where you are. So yeah, and also this season started in February and will finish the start of December. So that just gives you a rough time estimate and how much they'd have to travel.
Yeah.
All of these teams are traveling around the world, and sometimes they're doing back-to-back weekends. I mean, they do have a summer break. I don't know how many weeks it is, but they have a little break in between the season and obviously their winter break. But yeah, when you really see it like that, it's a long time to be doing that. A lot of pressure. The races can be quite intense in hot weather. They're sweating. The amount of weight that these drivers lose.
Isn't it anywhere between like 4 and 8 pounds or something? I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
They have to weigh themselves. You see it after every race.
They lose a lot of weight. So it must be very intense. And from being nervous as well. About to start a race and yeah. So the points. Yes, now we go back to the points. So if a driver wins, I've got it written down here, you get 25 points for themselves and the team, and they drive for and to add to their season tally. They're 18 points for second place, 15 for third, 12 for fourth, 10 for fifth, 8 for sixth, 6 for seventh, 4th for 8th, 2th for 9th, 2th for 9th, and 1 for 10th place.
Woo!
Yeah, got
we can
that
put up
right.
A little picture here, can't we?
Yeah. And see screen.
If you're watching on YouTube.
And it says here, and an additional point is available for the driver who sets the fastest lap in the Grand Prix, but only if they finish in the top 10. Let's not forget that, guys.
Let's not forget. Because how frustrating would that be? You were in like 13th, but you were like driving your absolute hardest, getting the fastest lap. I guess it would just be pride. You could just have that for yourself in your heart.
And now we're going to say all of the places where the races have been.
Yeah. That's me, innit?
You can read them all, or we can go one by one.
Bahrain.
Saudi Arabia.
Australia.
Japan.
China.
Miami.
Italy. Imola.
Monaco.
Canada.
Spain.
Austria.
Great Britain.
Hungary.
Belgium.
Netherlands.
Italy, Monza.
Azerbaijan.
Singapore.
Austin. Texas.
Mexico.
Brazil.
Las Vegas.
Qatar.
And Abu Dhabi.
Woo!
So that's a lot.
I really wanted to go. This ain't Texas.
Oh.
Woo!
Okay, and also we are going to tell you all of the teams if you don't know, and their drivers. So we have Red Bull Racing, and their drivers are Sergio Perez and Max Verstappen.
Then we've got Ferrari with Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz.
Mercedes with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton.
McLaren with Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris.
Aston Martin with Fernando Alonso and Lance Stroll.
Kick Sauber with Zhou Guanyu and Valtteri Bottas.
And Haas F1 team with Nico Hulkenberg and Kevin Magnussen.
Then we've got RB, or Racing Bulls, with Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo.
And we've got Williams with Logan Sargent and Alexander Albon.
And then Alpine with Pierre Gasly and Esteban Ocon. Wow, I think we sounded really professional then.
Did. We really did. Stop the podcast right there. Right there.
Sorry, guys. We're going to have to interrupt the back to basics.
We're going to bring back with part 2, where we're going to talk about the FIA and tyre strategy.
And some commonly used words and phrases in Formula One. So make sure you tune in to our next episode to get the second half of the Back to Basics. Enjoy the rest of the podcast.
So I kind of want to give people who haven't been watching the 2024 season kind of a background. So if you do want to watch the next up and coming races,
rundown.
You know who's doing great and who's not doing so good. So first of all, no shocker, we always say this, Red Bull. I actually hate saying Max Verstappen again.
I hate saying it again. I mean, we're 2 races in
again.
and already
he's smashing it. So obviously winning on 87 points is Red Bull. 49 points, just even that gap.
That gap.
Is Ferrari this year.
So far, 2 races in, 2 races in.
For many years, it has been Mercedes winning and smashing it, and Red Bull trying, and they've finally done it. And for some reason, Mercedes just aren't doing that great, and it's
got to be the car.
Sad to my heart. I'm not gonna lie, but I'll tell you who I think I'm gonna become a new supporter of: McLaren.
Really?
I love the CEO.
Oh yeah, Zach.
He's the only one that spoke out about a few things recently going on in the paddock, just speaking up on different things that aren't right, who some people might be too afraid to say something. Yeah, it's sad really, but I love McLaren. And so they're actually 3rd now, so they're below Ferrari. And you may be thinking, where is Mercedes? Well, they're 4th. So
well, they're 4th.
It's not great for them.
No, George did pretty well.
George is doing well.
Well, this most recent race, he qualified 3rd, didn't end up 3rd, bless.
Yes, but he got a podium in Bahrain.
Did he?
Pretty sure.
Oh my god. No, he didn't.
Did he not?
No, it was Max, Sergio, and then Sainz.
Maybe that was qualifying.
He did qualifying. He got P3 for this one.
Right. And then 5th is Aston Martin, and 6th, drum roll, Haas. What the hell? Can we just talk about this, please? Haas is 6th in the construction. I just can't believe
last
that.
year they came dead last, so
they were rubbish, like absolutely rubbish. But they've got a point. I just love that for them. And is that because they have a new team principal?
Well, this
year.
What
this
makes
is their
me sad.
first year with the new team principal. So,
yeah, Günther Steiner is out.
Yeah.
So it does make me slightly sad because it's like, oh, was Günther not very good? But I guess it's fine.
7th is Williams. 8th is Kick Sauber. 9th is RB. 10th is Alpine. Now, Alpine, they have just gone vroom. The downfall of Alpine is shocking.
It is shocking. And I think they covered this in Drive to Survive, but they were talking about the rivalry between Pierre and Esteban, and this is not that. The cars, there's something messed up going on.
There's something not right.
Pierre Gasly was out in the first lap of the most recent race.
Yeah, his gearbox or something.
Yeah, it was to do with his gearbox, and he
didn't even get to race.
And I think at one point it literally said on the grid, because Carlos Sainz wasn't driving, but it literally said on the grid Pierre Gasly was in 21st position, so he's 21st in a 20 driver race. So he's doing worse than the worst.
So that's just the constructors and how well they're doing. And then we have the drivers. So leading, ignore.
Skip.
Second, Sergio Perez, ignore.
Skip.
Third, Charles Leclerc. Woo! We love him. 4th is George Russell. I know we were saying he gives us the ick. I don't know why. Sorry, George. But I do.
No,
like
I think
him.
I think he's lovely.
He's so sweet.
It's just, I just can't get past it. I don't know.
If you want to know what he looks like and stuff, Google him and I think it's his voice. I don't know.
It is his voice.
I don't know.
He is a sweetheart. He's obviously really nice.
Right, and next is Oscar Piastri.
Piastri.
I always say his last name wrong. I kept doing that on the race. Anyway, crazy that he's 5th.
Yeah, I think this is his second year or third year in.
Crazy. So I don't think Lando Norris is going to be
happy about that
because obviously they are teammates. Just to remind.
Yeah, and the teammates, the extra I guess rivalry on top of that is your teammate is in the same car, no one else is. They're a direct comparable, position to you.
6th is Carlos Sainz. 7th is Fernando Alonso. 8th is Lando Norris, and 9th is Lewis Hamilton. I just can't believe that. Oliver Bearman, which we will explain, is below Lewis Hamilton in 10th with 6 points.
Incredible.
Already. What? People like Alex Albon got 0 points. What in the world? But we'll explain that in a second. Then 11th, so under him, is Nico Hülkenberg. Woo! With 1 point. I actually love Nico Hülkenberg. I loved him in Drive to Survive. And now there's memes on TikTok of him just sat there just does not care, just kind of bouncing along to the music, and is I'm out. I'm watching everyone race. I don't care. Yeah. I'm just here for the vibes. Love that for him. 12th is Lance Stroll. I don't know what it is about him.
We know what it is. It's the nepotism for me, baby.
Alexander Albon, love him. So then you've got in 14th Joe Granu, 15th Kevin Magnussen, 16th Daniel Ricciardo. What is going on?
Danny.
I'm sorry. 17th is Esteban Ocon, 18th is Yuki Tsunoda, and 19th is Logan Sargent. In 20th we've got Valtteri Bottas.
Yeah.
Why are you laughing?
Because it was yeah.
Did I say it right?
Kind of.
Oh god. Anyway, we're learning. And then 21st, Pierre Gasly.
How can you be 21st?
Well, it's because of Olivia.
Yeah,
Olivia. Yeah. Oliver Bearman.
But this is what I mean when I said Pierre's in 21st in a 20-man race.
I know it is pretty sad. I'm not gonna lie.
And
Pierre Gasly is not. He's won races.
Yeah, he's good.
He's not awful.
And can we talk about our fantasy now? Because this is what I'm pissed off about.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Talk about your fantasy. Tell me everything.
So I had Pierre Gasly in my fantasy.
So did I. Gone.
Yeah, he's out. He's out. Swapped him, kicked him out. Sorry, Pierre. Love you, but you lost me 20 points. He lost me 20 points in my fantasy.
Wait, when did you get rid of him? Because I got rid of him before.
The race? No, I didn't get rid of him until after qualifying, so he lost me 20 points. I
think that's why I was okay.
I swapped out Yuki Tsunoda.
But how are you still beating me? How am I 4th? Are you...
If I didn't have Pierre Gasly on my team, I'd be 20 points up right now. You're not losing. How many are there in our league?
5, 6? No, 7.
7.
But still, 4th's not winning. As Max Verstappen, who should not be named, would say.
So, the last podcast, our first one, we filmed before the season kicked off. So we've got 2 races to catch up on. And I thought I would bring some highlights from each race to Jess and we can talk about them.
Yeah, I can't wait. I'm excited to see what you say.
Starting off in Bahrain, where it all kicked off. He who must not be named.
Don't. No.
It's okay. He was 22 seconds.
Oh, I'm actually so fed up of hearing his name. It triggers me now.
And it's actually crazy, being 20 seconds ahead is really, really far, especially in Formula 1 when you can see drivers be fractions of a second between each other. To be 20 seconds ahead is ridiculous.
Actually crazy.
Cry for all F1 fans that were hoping for an exciting season. Bottas had an eventful pit. It was, I think, 52.4 seconds long, so nearly a minute long in the pit.
The hell happened?
It was something to do with the front left wheel. Like, if you watch the clip, you see the pit crew, they can't get it on. I think they put the wrong wheel on.
That's kicks out, bro.
Embarrassing.
Awful. To be those engineers who get it wrong, oh my God, the stress.
I know. Because, like you said, they do it in like 2 seconds, 3 seconds, really, really quickly. 54 seconds. Oh, embarrassed. We touched upon it a little bit already, but the drama between Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo.
Ooh.
That was
drama.
That was drama. I mean, Daniel afterwards was literally like, Yuki's just being immature. And I think, we all know he's a little pocket
feisty.
rocket.
Yeah, if you didn't
know.
know, Yuki Tsunoda, he swears a lot and he can be quite aggressive. For such a tiny man.
I know.
He's got such
he looks
aggression.
Like a little cutie pie.
Yeah, but he's not. He is aggressive. But he's trying to be more mature.
Yeah. One of the seasons of Drive to Survive, I think they literally had to take him on, like, not anger management, but, like, they took him to, like, Italy. And
really?
Like, yeah. And we're literally, like, when you watch the whole thing where they're like, okay, no, you need to try and, like, calm down.
No way.
Yeah. A lot of people were debating about, like, why did they even bother, because neither of them were in point scoring positions. Yuki was in 13th, but the idea was that Daniel was on the soft tyres, the newer soft tyres. He could have got ahead and he might have had more of an advantage to get into 11th place.
But he didn't.
But he didn't. He didn't. Arguably because Yuki didn't let him go ahead sooner. But even though 11th is not a point scoring position, basically at the end of the constructors or at the end of the drivers' championship, if any two teams are drawing, basically the FIA will then look at what team has scored more wins.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So Daniel getting to that 11th position, even though it's not a point scoring position, and when you get down to like the lower end of the grid or the middle portion of the grid, ties can happen. So having that one extra head could really benefit them later on. Sainz got P3.
Woo!
Which is so cute. I mean, it really shows that like a Red Bull 1 and 2 is so bored of it, but we can be so happy for Sainz for getting P3, especially because he's been dropped by Ferrari. He's not got a seat for next year. So he's really proving himself. He's really trying to be like, you know what, F you Ferrari. You shouldn't have dropped me. I'm a competitor, and there's no way he won't have a seat next year. He will have a seat, so he's absolutely fine. I don't think he's sweating.
You never know.
But yeah, he got P3 after a little Ferrari battle. You saw him battle it out with Charles, trying to keep his position, but Charles kept locking up throughout the race, so it was just not in the cards for him, which I feel very sad about because I love Charles. But to end on my little Bahrain summary, Lewis broke his seat.
Did he?
So
I didn't even know that.
His seat broke. I don't know how, but he was
Mercedes,
just like, my seat's
what
broken.
the hell?
Right, on the first race back, and your driver's like, my seat's broken.
Yeah,
so that must be
good.
very, very uncomfortable. And you know, they sit like this, like if you're watching on YouTube, they literally sit like their legs go up in the car, so they're kind of like laid back. And like I've seen Lewis say in interviews before, it is very comfortable because you're kind of like lying down. So like you can just fall asleep on the grid before the race is going. So that's Bahrain.
Yeah. It was boring. But
the next race in Saudi Arabia in Jeddah was a little bit more eventful, but still, he who must not be named won. But Lando Norris was in first. Well, no, he wasn't in pole position, but he was ahead at one point while Max was pitting. But on Lando Norris, he did a little jump start at the beginning, which is actually hilarious to watch.
But he didn't get a penalty for it, which is really, really weird. Don't know why that didn't happen.
But it's really fun. I found his interview really funny. And George Russell was immediate because he was just behind, and his camera caught it, and George was literally like, jump start, Landon, jump start, jump start.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
so ratting him out, but you know, got to get the point.
Got to do it, unfortunately.
Magnussen got his 20-second penalty, so he got 10 seconds because he sandwiched Alex Albon between the wall, so him and the wall, and then he got another 10-second penalty because he left the track, like, you know, he went off onto like a sandy bit, and then he came back on ahead of Yuki Tsunoda, so Yuki lost a point,
Right.
lost a position, which is not fair because Kevin shouldn't have left the track to do that. So he got another 10-second penalty. That used to be a 5-second penalty, but like drivers were actually arguing it for it to be more because it's not fair that someone can just kind of like skip the track. So peak for Kevin.
Yeah.
He got 20 seconds, meaning he was like nowhere near the points, which then led to some incredible strategy from Haas.
Round of applause.
A round of applause to
Didn't
Haas.
think
getting
they
them
had
in
it
the
in them.
points,
Yeah.
which is incredible, which we talked about earlier. But yeah, basically Magnussen was like there preserving his energy and going as slow as possible, holding back everyone behind him, and they couldn't overtake. But then because he preserved his energy so well, when they were on the straights and the other drivers could overtake and use DRS, he bolted it, so he was so fast ahead they couldn't overtake him, and it meant that Nico Hulkenberg could keep his position in the points, which is very cute.
It's interesting.
Really interesting strategy.
Yeah.
Here's a plug for our TikTok. Go follow us on TikTok because I talked briefly about Oliver Bearman, the 18-year-old British driver, Formula 2 driver, who was brought up to drive in replacement of Carlos Sainz, who had appendicitis. Bless you, Carlos. And Oliver, 18 years old, got P7.
I know.
And he got in the points.
I mean, his dad looked like he was going to poo himself the whole time, but I mean, you would.
Of course. Like, they're in a very dangerous
Imagine
machine.
racing against, I mean, I know most of them have, but like people that you grew up watching and like are your literal idols, and overnight you're literally there and driving next to them. I think that's crazy. And to be put in such an intense... I know, and to be put in such an intense environment, take it, and even when he was being interviewed, he seemed so calm and relaxed, and I think he had an excellent mindset.
Yeah.
In the fact that he was like, you know, I'm here to race, and to see like how well I can do in F1. Even if he didn't do as well, it would be expected. So the fact that he did such an amazing job, it's not long until he'll be in F1. 100%.
Yeah, he's a reserve driver for both Ferrari and Haas. So there's rumours that he
I
could
didn't
be
know
driving
that
for Haas.
either.
Yeah. Oliver Bearman, congratulations. And then Lance Stroll crashed into the wall.
He did.
Peak.
Yeah, it was peak.
And did you like down the line the team were like, can you pit? Can you drive it into the pit? And he was like, no, absolutely.
Yeah. Did they not see the crash? Like, obviously it wasn't. He was
like the worst
absolutely
ever,
fine, but you know he's going into a wall at such high speed. Do you really think he could have?
Can you
just reverse?
Drive that
just
back?
reverse.
Those are my rundowns.
Okay.
Of the two
It gave us
races.
some more. We had some people out.
Yeah.
We had Oliver Bearman. I think Bearman.
Bearman.
I think that's a good race.
So there was some interesting
dynamics. It was
dynamics.
nice to see Lando Norris in front.
Yeah.
And let us know as well in the comments what your thoughts
were.
So yeah, this has been fun. I hope this has been educational
Yeah.
for everyone, and I hope that you can enjoy, if you are going to stay up at 4 a.m, if you're in Great Britain, to watch the Australian Grand Prix.
I'm hoping...
Hopefully, Carlos has got, because it's not this weekend, it's next. So hopefully Carlos has got some time to recover.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. But
thanks for watching/listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening, guys, and stay tuned for the next episode. Hopefully we can get that out very soon. Also subscribe.
Yeah, subscribe,
please.
Follow.
And also thank you so much for all the love in the last episode. It was really nice. It was nice to see some support. Bye guys.
Bye guys.